The 1970s were a decade America could never quite forget. War, economic uncertainty, changing lifestyles, and a new generation were reshaping the country. And through it all, music was everywhere, pouring from radios, filling cars, lighting up dance floors, and becoming the soundtrack of everyday life. But among the biggest songs of the decade were some artists who disappeared almost as quickly as they arrived. Today, we're counting down 15 most famous one-hit wonders of the 1970s. Songs that may have defined only one moment, but somehow never left our memories. Let's begin with number 15.
Sunday morning, up with the lark.
Number 15. Beautiful Sunday, Daniel Boone.
It's a beautiful day.
What if one cheerful song could make a singer famous worldwide while almost everything else he recorded vanished from memory? Daniel Boone found that strange kind of success with Beautiful Sunday in 1972. The song sounded like pure sunshine, a simple melody, an easy chorus, and the carefree feeling of a perfect weekend.
Beautiful Sunday.
American radio embraced it, sending the record to number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100. But here's the surprising part. Beautiful Sunday became a much bigger international success than its American chart position suggests, reaching the charts in numerous countries. Boone continued recording, but nothing else approached the impact of that one song in America.
Say that you love me.
And that's why it still works today. It doesn't remind you of a complicated story. It reminds you of a feeling, open windows, warm weather, and a Sunday with nowhere to be. You may forget Daniel Boone's name, but you won't forget that melody. And the next song made an even bigger American impact.
I'm on my way to the city lights.
Number 14. Sweet City Woman, the Stampeders.
I gotta catch a noon train. I gotta be there on time.
How did a Canadian band turn a banjo-driven song into America's number 2 hit, then struggle to repeat the magic? The Stampeders already had a successful career in Canada when Sweet City Woman arrived in 1971. Its combination of pop, rock, country flavor, and that unmistakable banjo gave it a sound that stood apart from ordinary radio hits.
Sweet city woman.
American listeners responded immediately. The song climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became the band's signature American record. But the most interesting part is what happened next. The Stampeders continued having success in Canada, yet they never turned their American breakthrough into another comparable US hit. So their one huge American record became almost a musical postcard from 1971, bright, catchy, and instantly recognizable. That's the strange power of a one-hit wonder. Sometimes the artist doesn't disappear because the music was bad. The first hit is simply too memorable to replace. And our next artist wasn't even looking for the spotlight. Number 13. I Can Help Billy Swan. What if a musician who spent years helping other artists suddenly became a number 1 star himself? Before I Can Help, Billy Swan had already worked as a songwriter, musician, and producer. Then, in 1974, he recorded his own song almost as an extension of the work he'd been doing behind the scenes.
When I go to sleep at night, you're always a part of my dream.
Its upbeat rhythm, distinctive keyboard sound, and instantly memorable chorus caught fire. I Can Help raced to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, turning Swan into a national star almost overnight. But the success was impossible to duplicate. His later releases never came close to the same American impact.
Don't forget me, baby. All you gotta do is call. You know.
The fascinating fact is that Swan wasn't an overnight newcomer at all. He had already spent years inside the music industry before the public knew his name. One record simply moved him from behind the curtain to center stage, and then the spotlight moved on. Still, I Can Help remains a perfect example of how one unexpected moment can completely change an artist's career. But the next hit had a riff nobody could ignore. Number 12. Black Betty Ram Jam. What if a song that was already decades old suddenly exploded as a rock hit in 1977? That's exactly what happened with Ram Jam's Black Betty. The band took an old American traditional song and rebuilt it with distorted guitar, pounding drums, and an aggressive rock arrangement. The result was explosive. Black Betty reached number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became Ram Jam's defining American hit. But here's the fact many listeners miss. The song itself existed long before rock music. Its roots stretch back through African American folk and work song traditions, meaning Ram Jam were reinventing a piece of musical history for a new generation. The band couldn't turn that breakthrough into another major US hit. But the record survived because its central riff was almost impossible to forget. The strange thing about one-hit wonders is that sometimes the artist disappears while the sound becomes immortal. Ram Jam faded. That guitar riff didn't. And the next song didn't just become a hit, it created a dance craze. Number 11. The Hustle Van McCoy and the Soul City Symphony. What if a song became so closely tied to a dance that the two were almost impossible to separate? In 1975, disco was exploding across America, and Van McCoy understood exactly where the culture was heading. The Hustle was an instrumental built around an infectious rhythm, designed for the dance floor rather than the traditional singer-songwriter format. It worked. The song climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the defining sounds of 1975. The memorable fact is that McCoy wasn't simply making a dance record. He was capturing a specific social moment when the hustle was spreading through clubs and suddenly becoming something ordinary Americans wanted to learn. Yet McCoy couldn't turn that enormous crossover success into another comparable American pop hit. For a brief moment, one instrumental record represented an entire nightlife culture. That's why The Hustle still feels bigger than a song. It was a dance. It was a trend. It was 1975. But our next singer had something even more powerful: attitude.
Do you think I can afford to give you my love?
Number 10. Mr. Big Stuff Gene Knight.
You're never gonna get my love. I know the girl.
How did one fearless soul performance turn Gene Knight into one of America's biggest stars of 1971? Knight had spent years recording music without major national success. Then, Mr. Big Stuff changed everything. The groove was simple, but Knight's voice gave the record its real weapon: confidence. She sounded completely unimpressed by the man she was singing about.
Who do you think you are? The big stuff.
America loved it. Mr. Big Stuff climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became the biggest pop hit of Knight's career. But here's what makes the record special. Its appeal wasn't built around elaborate production or a complicated melody. It was built around personality. Knight's vocal attitude became the hook. She couldn't repeat that success with another major US pop hit, leaving Mr. Big Stuff as her defining record. Decades later, the song still works for the same reason it worked in 1971. You don't just hear the words, you hear the attitude behind them. And the next song took disco attitude all the way to number 1. Number 9. Ring My Bell. Anita Ward. What if a singer could land a #1 disco hit so huge that one song became almost her entire musical legacy? Anita Ward experienced that in 1979 with Ring My Bell. The record arrived near the peak of disco, driven by a hypnotic bass line, polished production, and a chorus that was almost impossible to forget. It climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But the story gets more interesting. The song wasn't originally conceived as the disco anthem we know today. It was first written with a different concept in mind before being reshaped for Ward and the late 1970s market. That transformation helped turn an ordinary idea into a defining disco record. Ward's later releases never matched its success, and she never returned to the same level of American pop fame. But Ring My Bell captured 1979 perfectly, the sound, the confidence, and the nightlife of disco's final great era. The career was brief. The record wasn't. And the next band proved that listening to your audience can sometimes create a #1 hit. Number 8. Play that funky music, Wild Cherry. Can one request from a nightclub audience completely change a band's career? Wild Cherry began as a rock band, but audiences increasingly wanted them to play funk. Instead of fighting the trend, the group turned that demand into a song. Play That Funky Music blended hard rock guitar with a powerful funk groove and an unforgettable chorus. In 1976, it reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But the band couldn't build another comparable run of American hits. The fascinating part is how directly the song came from the world around the band. Their audience wasn't just listening to the music, they were influencing what the musicians played. That simple interaction helped create one of the biggest crossover hits of the decade. Wild Cherry eventually faded from the mainstream, but their response to the crowd became permanent. Even people who don't know the band's story can hear the title and immediately know what comes next. That's a pretty remarkable legacy for a song born from a request. But the next hit was born from something even more provocative.
My baby gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon.
Number 7. Afternoon Delight Starland Vocal Band.
Everything's a little clearer in the light of day.
How did a sweet-sounding vocal group turn a surprisingly suggestive song into America's #1 hit? Starland Vocal Band built its sound around gentle harmonies, acoustic instruments, and an almost innocent presentation. Then came Afternoon Delight. The melody sounded harmless. The lyrics weren't. That contrast made the record impossible to ignore.
Rubbing sticks and stones together make the sparks ignite, and the thought of loving you is getting...
In 1976, Afternoon Delight climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of America's biggest pop hits. The group's follow-up records couldn't reproduce that success, leaving one unusual song to define their entire mainstream career. And that's what makes it such a perfect 1970s time capsule. The record could sound innocent in one moment and surprisingly cheeky in the next. That tension gave it personality and gave audiences something to talk about.
Started out this morning feeling so full, I always thought of Michigan.
The Starland Vocal Band faded, but the song remained one of the decade's most recognizable reminders of how playful 1970s pop could be. And the next song has a completely different feeling. It simply sounds like summer.
We get it almost every night.
Number 6. Dancing in the Moonlight, King Harvest.
Everybody here is out of sight, but they don't bark.
What if a song could make you feel like summer before you even heard the first verse? That's the magic of Dancing in the Moonlight. King Harvest released the song in the early 1970s, and its relaxed rhythm, warm keyboards, and gentle melody made it feel almost effortless.
Dancing in the moonlight, everybody's free.
The record climbed to number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became the band's defining American hit. But here's the detail that makes the story even more interesting. Songwriter Sherman Kelly was inspired by a personal experience while traveling, an experience that eventually became this remarkably peaceful song. King Harvest couldn't turn that success into another major US hit, yet the song refused to disappear. It kept returning through radio, movies, television, and later generations discovering it for themselves. That's why this is more than a chart memory. It creates a place, an open road, a warm night, a summer you may not even remember living through. And when the opening melody arrives, you don't just hear the song, you remember the feeling. But number 5 begins with 2 words nobody could forget. Number 5. Hooked on a Feeling, Blue Swede. What if 2 strange syllables became one of the most famous openings in 1970s pop? Ooga Chaka. When Blue Swede released Hooked on a Feeling in 1974, that bizarre chant immediately made the record impossible to confuse with anything else on the radio. The song exploded, climbing to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But Blue Swede didn't write it. The song had already been recorded before, yet the Swedish group completely transformed the arrangement and made the Ooga Chaka chant its defining feature. That small creative decision changed everything. Blue Swede became an American sensation, but they couldn't reproduce the success with another major US hit. And that's the lesson hidden inside this strange record. Sometimes a one-hit wonder isn't created by an artist finding a formula. It's created by finding one sound nobody else has. The song became unforgettable because of something that, on paper, sounds almost ridiculous. 2 syllables, 1 rhythm, 1 perfect moment. And the next hit sounded even more futuristic. Number 4. Pop music, M. Can a number 1 hit sound so strange in its own time that it predicts the music of the future? In 1979, M released Pop Music, a record filled with electronic sounds, playful vocals, and a deliberately experimental style. American radio was changing rapidly, and this song seemed to sit right at the crossroads. Disco was fading, electronic music was rising, and pop was becoming more adventurous. Pop music reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making him one of the most unexpected American chart toppers of the year. But the success didn't become a lasting US pop career. The song was simply too distinctive to repeat. And that may be its greatest strength. Pop music now sounds less like a strange 1979 experiment and more like an early preview of the electronic pop that would dominate the 1980s. M didn't just have a hit. For a brief moment, the future was playing on American radio. But number 3 brought together 2 completely different cultural crazes. Number 3. Kung Fu Fighting Carl Douglas. How did martial arts, movies, and disco collide to create one of the biggest songs of 1974? Carl Douglas found the answer with Kung Fu Fighting. Martial arts movies were exploding in popularity, while disco was beginning to dominate dance floors. Douglas captured both trends in one irresistibly catchy record. The song reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became an international phenomenon. But he never came close to repeating that level of American pop success. The interesting part is how perfectly the record matched its moment. You could hear the martial arts craze in the lyrics, you could hear disco in the rhythm, and you could hear 1974 in almost every note. That combination made the song much bigger than a normal novelty record. It became a snapshot of an America fascinated by new sounds, new dances, and new cultural influences. Decades later, the title alone can bring back the entire era. But number 2 tells an even stranger story. Its creator wasn't trying to make a typical pop record at all. Number 2. Spirit in the Sky, Norman Greenbaum. What if a spiritual song with a massive rock guitar became one of the defining hits of 1970? Norman Greenbaum was inspired to write Spirit in the Sky after seeing a country blues performer on television. He decided to create his own spiritual song. But instead of copying traditional gospel, he added heavy guitar, hand claps, and a driving rock rhythm. The result sounded completely unexpected. Spirit in the Sky reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1970 and became Greenbaum's defining hit. Nothing else he recorded came close to matching it. Yet here's the remarkable part. The song kept finding new audiences long after its chart run ended. It appeared in movies, television, commercials, and countless other places, allowing later generations to discover it without knowing anything about Greenbaum. The career faded, the record didn't. That's what separates a true one-hit wonder from an ordinary, forgotten hit. One moment can be brief. A great song doesn't have to be. And number 1 turned that idea into a piece of American culture. Number 1. Nana Hey Hey Kiss Him Goodbye, Steam. How did a song released in 1969 become one of the most unforgettable chants in American culture? Nana Hey Hey Kiss Him Goodbye appeared near the end of 1969, but its real explosion came in 1970. Radio stations began playing it, and listeners immediately locked onto the simple chorus. The song climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But Steam couldn't build a lasting American chart career around it. The record became far bigger than the group itself. Then came the extraordinary part. That "na na hey hey" refrain escaped pop music and became a chant used by sports fans and crowds celebrating an opponent's defeat or departure. A pop chorus had become part of everyday American culture. And that's why it belongs at number 1. You may forget Steam. You may forget the year. You may even forget the title. But when that chorus starts, you know exactly what comes next. The artist faded. The decade ended. The music changed. But that chorus never disappeared. That's the strange power of a true one-hit wonder. And there you have it. 15 one-hit wonders that captured something unforgettable about the 1970s. Some made us dance. Some made us sing along. And some became part of American culture long after the artists themselves faded from the spotlight. But that's the magic of these songs. A career may last only a moment, while a great melody can last for generations. Which one of these 1970s one-hit wonders do you still remember? Tell us in the comments. And if this trip back in time brought back a memory, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more forgotten hits from the decades we never stopped loving.